Before I write this, I want to flag something important for accuracy. Passport renewal delays do not directly freeze or stop your CPP or OAS payments once you're already receiving them. There's no rule linking an expired or delayed passport to payment suspension. What passport delays do affect is identity verification for new applications, My Service Canada account setup, and situations involving seniors living or applying from abroad. That's the honest, accurate angle. I've written the script this way so we don't spread misinformation to your audience. Here it is. Right now, thousands of Canadian seniors are stuck in a passport backlog so bad that some applications are being turned away before they even start, simply because the daily online limit has already been reached. And if you're someone who's been putting off your passport renewal, thinking it has nothing to do with your CPP or OAS, you need to hear what's really going on in 2026, because the connection is closer than you think. Before we get into it, if you find this channel helpful, please take a moment to subscribe to CPP OAS Weekly Update. It genuinely motivates us to keep bringing you accurate, easy to understand pension information every single week. Now let's talk about what's actually happening with passports in Canada this year and why it matters more than most seniors realize. This isn't about scaring you, it's about making sure you're prepared so a simple documentation delay never turns into a bigger headache down the road. Here's the first thing you should know. Starting April 1st, 2026, the federal government introduced something brand new called the 30 days or free guarantee. This means if your complete passport application takes longer than 30 business days to process, you automatically get a full refund of your processing fee. No phone calls needed, no paperwork to chase. It happens on its own. That sounds like great news, and in many ways it is, but here's the catch that a lot of seniors are running into. That 30-day clock only starts once your application is considered complete. If there's a missing signature, an incorrect photo, or a document that doesn't quite meet the requirements, your application gets sent back, and the countdown doesn't even begin until everything is fixed. Let that sink in for a moment. A tiny paperwork mistake, the kind that's easy to make when you're filling out forms quickly, could add weeks to your wait time without you even realizing it. Now here's something else that's catching people off guard this year. Alongside the new guarantee, passport fees also went up on March 31st, 2026 for the first time in 13 years. Adult passport fees rose by $2.50 to $3.50. It's not a huge jump, but combined with everything else changing, it's one more thing seniors need to budget for. So why does any of this matter if you're already collecting your CPP or OAS payments? Let's be very clear about something important. If you are already receiving your CPP or OAS payments, an expired or delayed passport will not stop that money from landing in your bank account. Your ongoing payments are not tied to having a valid passport on file. I want you to hear that clearly because there's a lot of confusion and worry circulating online right now. But, and this is where it does matter, there are specific situations where your passport becomes very important, and this is where seniors need to pay close attention. If you are applying for CPP or OAS for the very first time, Service Canada asks for acceptable proof of identity. A valid passport is one of the documents that satisfies this requirement. If your passport has expired and you don't have another accepted form of identification ready, this can genuinely slow down your very first application. Curious what else counts as acceptable identification? Stick with me because I'm going to walk through that in just a moment. The second situation involves setting up or verifying your My Service Canada account, often called MSCA. This is the online portal where you check your payment details, download your tax slips, and update your direct deposit information. When you're registering for the first time or verifying your identity through the Interact service, having current, valid identification on hand makes the process smooth. If your documents are expired or in the middle of renewal, you may run into unnecessary friction. The third and most important situation involves Canadian seniors who are living outside of Canada, whether permanently or for extended periods. If you're retired abroad or you're planning to be, Service Canada may ask you to confirm your identity or your continued eligibility from time to time. A valid, current passport makes that verification process much easier, especially if you're dealing with a Canadian embassy or consulate in another country. Now, here's something a lot of seniors don't realize, and it ties directly into what we're talking about today. If you move outside of Canada, even temporarily for an extended period, you are required to notify Service Canada of your change of address. This isn't about your passport specifically, but it's part of the same bigger picture. Keeping your documentation current, including your passport, makes every one of these communications with Service Canada faster and smoother. So let's bring this back to the passport backlog itself, because understanding how the system works right now can save you real time and real stress. As of this year, Canada's passport system operates under a daily cap on the number of online renewal applications it will accept. Once that cap is hit for the day, the system locks out new applications until it resets. Many Canadians trying to renew online have found themselves unable to even start their application, despite having a valid account and all their documents ready. If you've experienced this frustration, you're not alone, and there is a strategy that seems to help. Many applicants have found more success trying right at the system reset windows, either early in the morning around 7 a.m. or again in the evening around 7 p.m. If you can only try once a day realistically, the evening window tends to be a little easier to catch consistently. Here's a curiosity question worth thinking about. What happens if you have urgent travel plans and can't wait for standard processing? I'll answer that for you right now. If you have confirmed travel coming up and your passport situation is urgent, there is an expedited option available. However, it requires an in-person visit to a dedicated passport center. Not every Service Canada location handles urgent requests, so you'll want to check ahead of time. You'll also need to bring proof of your upcoming travel, such as a flight itinerary or booking confirmation, to qualify for the faster service. Standard processing right now typically runs around 20 business days once your complete application is received. If you apply in person for urgent needs, that can shrink to as little as 2 to 9 business days, depending on your travel date. But remember, these timelines don't include mailing time if you're sending documents by post, so build in extra days for that. Speaking of mail, this is worth mentioning too. Canada Post's service disruptions can add further delays to mail-based applications. If you're sending anything in or waiting for a passport to arrive by mail, it's wise to build extra buffer time into your plans, especially around statutory holidays when postal and passport offices are both closed. Now, let's talk about the most common mistakes that slow everything down, because avoiding these could save you weeks of unnecessary waiting. The number one preventable delay is photo requirements. If your photo doesn't meet the strict guidelines, your application gets returned and you lose your place in the queue. This alone can add 2 to 4 weeks to your wait. The second common issue is missing signatures or incomplete information. Even something as small as a missing initial on one page can cause your entire application to be sent back for correction. The third issue involves references or guarantors. If the person listed on your application cannot be reached or verified by the passport office, that adds more delay while they follow up. Here's a tip that seniors especially should know. Processing tends to move fastest between September and February. If you're planning ahead, applying during that window, well before summer travel season kicks into gear, gives you the best chance of a smooth, on-time renewal. And if you're wondering when to even start the renewal process, the general guidance is to renew when your current passport still has somewhere between 6 and 12 months of validity left. Waiting until it's nearly expired is exactly how people end up in last-minute stress right when offices are busiest. Let's also touch on something timely. Passport offices, along with many Service Canada locations, close on statutory holidays like Canada Day. Right after a holiday shutdown, wait times and walk-in lines tend to spike the very next business day. If you have a choice, avoid visiting or submitting the day immediately following a long weekend or holiday closure. So here's the bigger picture I want to leave you with today. Your CPP and OAS payments are safe and will continue as long as your eligibility remains in place. A delayed passport renewal on its own will not interrupt money that's already flowing into your account. But if you're applying for benefits for the first time, setting up your online account, or living outside of Canada, keeping your identification documents current, including your passport, makes every interaction with Service Canada faster, smoother, and far less stressful. The seniors who avoid headaches this year are the ones who plan ahead. Check your passport's expiry date today if you haven't already. If it's within that 6 to 12-month window, consider starting your renewal now, before the summer rush makes everything slower. If today's video helped clear up some of the confusion around passports, CPP, and OAS, do us a favor and hit that like button. It really helps more seniors find this channel and get accurate information instead of rumors. Drop a comment below and let us know if you've experienced passport delays yourself. We read every single one. And if you haven't already, subscribe to CPP OAS Weekly Update so you never miss an update on the benefits and rules that affect your retirement. Coming up next, we're going to break down exactly what documents Service Canada accepts if your passport isn't available, and how to make sure your very first CPP or OAS application goes through without a hitch. You won't want to miss that one, so we'll see you in the next video.